오늘은 하원 청문회 영상을 보실 건데요. 질문하는 의원은 댄 크랜쇼 의원이고 텍사스주 출신입니다. 대답하는 사람은 맥 나마라 예일대 의과대학 교수입니다. 미국에서는 미성년자의 성별을 바꾸는 수술이나 호르몬 치료를 허가하느냐 금지하느냐에 대한 논의로 뜨거운데요. 실제로 미국 16개 주에서는 이런 시술이 가능하고 특히 캘리포니아에서는 법안이 통과돼서 미성년자가 부모의 동의 없이 이런 수술을 받을 수 있고 그것을 부모가 방해하면 법원에 의해서 양육권이 박탈될 수도 있습니다. 그럼 영상을 함께 보시죠.
I'm a board-certified pediatrician and a specialist in adolescent and young adult health. Gender dysphoria, the long-standing and significant distress that many transgender people have from the incongruence between their gender identity and the sex they have at birth, is real. It's a recognized and serious medical condition. Based on these standards, youth and parents receive informed counseling about the risks and the benefits of specific treatments, and every major medical organization has endorsed this care. And I have to tell you, American pediatricians will not accept being told that they have to leave even a single child behind. There's no room in our clinics for the government. This care was life-saving, life-affirming. That's what every kid in this country deserves. Please don't make it harder for us pediatricians to get them there.
Gender affirmation is not science, and there's no evidence-based standard of care. To say that is a lie, or is at best redefining the term evidence-based. What this is a social contagion. It is based in pseudoscience and radical ideologies. And it's sweeping across our country and encouraging children to make irreversible changes to their gender. What's worse, it's coming from adults and institutions who know better. We're just trying to stop it because it's crazy. Questions are for Dr. McNamara. I just want to ask you honestly. You're not concerned about the unknown effects of puberty blockers, hormones, and surgical interventions in kids, the long-term effects. Not concerned about that.
Everything I've said here today comes from a place of deep honesty and conviction for the care that I provide and the community that I'm a part of.
You've said that we've cherry-picked data. How do you mean how do you mean that?
So it is very unscientific and flawed to pick a single study or a single statistic and to discuss it in isolation.
Totally agree.
Medical experts are able to talk about all of the evidence as a whole.
Totally agree. So it's good to look at systematic reviews, right? That's the gold standard of evidence when you're trying to understand whether something works or whether it doesn't. So the British Journal of Medicine looked at 61 systematic reviews with the conclusion that, quote, there is great uncertainty about the effects of puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries in young people. The Journal of Endocrine Society came up with the same conclusion, even the American Academy of Pediatrics. They all cite the lack of evidence. And so here's the thing. If you're doing a therapy, and it's, temporary, whatever, fine, maybe let's try it, let's see if it works. But when you're talking about permanent physiological changes, do you not agree, just from an ethical standpoint, that you might want extremely strong evidence of the benefits? And there is no systematic review that states that there is strong evidence of benefits.
Sir, are you aware of how the quality evidence grading system works and how it's applied?
Yeah, we read through it. That's why I'm citing these journals. So which journal says something different? We should have that debate. Tell me a journal that has done systematic reviews that cites different evidence, that cites strong evidence for benefits of these therapies.
The standards of care were developed based on extensive...
You're not telling me any journal, you're not telling me any study. Don't say standards of care.
Yeah. So...
Tell me one.
The standards of care.
That's the standards of care. That's not a journal, that's not a study. That's not an organization, that's not an institution. You're just saying words. Name one study.
Yeah.
I'm out of time. I yield back.
The gentleman's time has expired. Mr. Dunn.
I want to run everyone through this thought experiment. So my daughter's going to grow up with a father with one eye. And at some point she might say, I want one eye. Right? I identify as somebody with one eyeball. Which, by the way, is far less important than your gender, just physiologically speaking. And so if I take her to the doctor and I say, can you just enucleate that eye for us because she identifies as a one eye, she wants to be just like her dad. What would the doctor say? They'd say, you're crazy and I'm going to have you arrested. That's what they should say. And this is for a physiological intervention that is far less important than your actual gender and your reproductive organs. We have to stop this madness. This has gone too far. Maybe you just press pause. Because if we're doing permanent physiological interventions to children that have permanently disfiguring them for some hope of a benefit that is not conclusive, then maybe we should press pause. That's all we're saying.
My name is Miriam Grossman. I have been taking care of patients for 45 years. I'm going to use my time to respond to Dr. McNamara. First, I'm struck by her use of the phrase, sex assigned at birth. Sex is not assigned at birth. Sex is established at conception, and it's recognized at birth, if not earlier. Dr. McNamara claims that her views are science-based, but to claim that sex is assigned at birth is without any scientific basis whatsoever. Its language misleads people, especially children, into thinking that male and female are arbitrary designations and can change. That is simply not true. Dr. McNamara claims that social and medical interventions are the only evidence-based treatment and that scientific evidence shows it is life-saving. Without it, she's warning us, kids will commit suicide. A growing number of countries have effectively banned the care to which she's referring. And thank God there's been no wave of suicides or other mental health catastrophes. Is Dr. McNamara suggesting that all these countries are rejecting evidence-based treatment and placing their kids at risk of suicide? Regarding that point of view, Finland's gender expert, Dr. Rita Kaltiela, said, quote, "It's purposeful disinformation, the spreading of which is irresponsible." All 7 countries, and Florida too, of course, concluded that kids don't need their development interrupted, the girls don't need their periods stopped and their voices lowered, and the boys don't need to grow breasts. What they need is psychotherapy. Thank you.
Dr. Grossman, you're a child psychiatrist. Can you expand upon the profound lack of clinical reviews and the long-term impacts of these treatments, puberty blockers, hormones, and surgeries?
Well, yes, as I said, we don't have the kind of studies that we would like. And I think it's very important for people to understand that when we talk about standards of care and we talk about guidelines and all the various associations that have come out for gender-affirming care and about politics and partisanshipness, those organizations themselves are rife with politics. They are permeated with politics.
Can you expand on that? Tell us how those activists have pressured dissenting voices in this
Well, yes,
field.
I just interviewed a number of doctors for my book, pediatricians, endocrinologists, who reported back to me on the fact that when they tried to speak up and have panel discussions or presentations that challenged gender-affirming care at the American Academy of Pediatrics or at the Endocrine Society, they're simply not given that opportunity. Even people, who have written writing articles, the articles are turned down by a lot of journals. People have to understand that politics medicine, unfortunately, is permeated with politics at this point. Now, ideally, we wouldn't be stepping in. Who wants the government stepping in between doctors and parents and children? Of course, we ideally don't want that. But when there's something that is so wrong that's going on, then I think we have to.